Are the Gundam animes good? I've like heard positive things in the past, but I've never gone and watched any of them. So my official suggestion to you is, if you want to get into Gundam, if you really are okay with deep political shit, maybe you've watched something like Game of Thrones or something like that, and you really get that like crazy complicated political system kind of stuff, start with the original Gundam, and then from there you'll probably watch Zeta Gundam, and then that's what you'll do. If you don't care for that and you just want to build the plastic figures, the Gunpla is what they're called, you're kind of like Z. Z is very much a person who I don't think watches the Gundam shows, but he watched Wing Gundam, I think I talked to him about. But other than that, he hasn't watched anything. Watch Gundam Build Fighters, because it's about those plastic models, and it's really good. It's basically Bakugan. It's like a children's TV show where you take this like plastic toy and you fight with it. It's basically Bakugan. It's really fun though. But yeah, that's my suggestion if you're wanting to get into Gundam. It depends on if you are more in it for the deep political dramas of the normal shows, or if you just want to kind of build the Gunpla, because it's definitely like just building the plastic figures is kind of like this recreational hobby in its own, and there's no shame in that at all, by the way. People who watch Gundam, people who watch all of like the deep political shit are just happy that more people are getting into the fandom, because when more people get into the fandom, it means that they're able to make more of the shows that they like. And if anybody tries to shame you for some bullshit like that, then they're the worst. Don't talk to them, because they suck. Cheesy, I never really got into anime, but Avatar is my favorite show ever. Ivan. I don't talk about this as much because, again, whenever you're streaming, you have to talk about very general kind of subjects. But while I'm drunk, I don't care. A fun anime to get into if you really want to get into it, and you're kind of weirded out by a lot of what like anime norms are, I guess, and you want a mature show for adults, because I definitely feel that in my adult life. I feel like there's a lot of anime that doesn't even apply to me anymore because it was kind of made for teenagers. If you want a mature anime for adults, watch the movie Redline. You will not regret it. It took 7 years to make. It is fantastic. Every frame is interesting in it. The shading and the art is beautiful. It's a very mature story. It's basically like Speed Racer mixed with like pod racing, turned into a movie for adults. It's really good. And you should definitely watch Redline. That's like my second favorite movie ever, actually. First is Django Unchained, because it's just like the cowboy vibes, man. Just dig cowboys, you know what I'm saying? You ever just dig cowboys? Oh, great. Oh, great. I just got penetrated. I didn't even like it either. It was a sad penetration. It was an upsetting... Ah, man. I gotta go. I'm full of poison now. That means like there's a fucking clock on my life. That means I gotta really hurry, otherwise I'm about to die. Speaking of dying... Heck yeah, good movie. Oh, it's so good. It's definitely interesting to me how like world news is very often just American news, you know what I'm saying? Like it barely ever, like I've talked to my my New Zealand friend Jess, who does the art for the channel, actually. Shit, I didn't realize that extended so far. That guy's got a big dick. But all of her news is apparently just whatever the hell is going on in America, and for them it's like, what the fuck are you all doing? This is some crazy shit over there. You like the people you elected, the you know, drama that's happening over there. What is going on, man? It's just kind of bonkers. You're like, wow. I don't know. I definitely think it gives people like a distorted perception of America though, because my friend Jess will also say things like I don't want to go to America like when it's like this or something, and I'm like, okay, things aren't great. Definitely things have changed and they're not fantastic, but in our day-to-day, we are still relatively okay. Like things that we're not in a constant state of chaos from day to day, you know? The day after, you know, Trump was elected and everything, like, was a pretty relatively normal day, you know? It was weird, but it wasn't like everything suddenly changed, everything's on fire sort of situation. And so I agree that for like long-term solution, we definitely gotta probably change things up, but in our day-to-day, things aren't that different, you know? I live in Canada and usually all our news is America, especially as of late. Yeah, it's fucking crazy how our news is basically world news. It's weird. Cause like I have, you know, it's just a place I was born, I guess. I don't know. Also, I gotta bomb my way because I don't want to make this my way around this wall right now. But it's definitely interesting to think of like how, like, the world is so huge. Why is this the place that it feels like everything is kind of going on news-wise, you know? American news is everywhere, exactly. The sad part is most Americans don't know what's happening in the rest of the world. Exactly, that's what I'm saying. Is that I don't, for the most part, know what's going on. You know, I'll become aware of certain tragedies and things going on, like the Australian wildfires and all that stuff. But for the most part, I don't know what the fuck is going on over in Germany, you know? And I doubt people in New Zealand have the same situation. Like, they're probably in the same mindset. They're like, I know what's going on in America, but what the hell is going on? You know, they probably have a little bit more of an idea what's going on in New Zealand, but unless it's like a serious tragedy that almost kind of plays into American politics, then for the most part, we don't really know what that. Also, I gotta do that. We don't know what the hell is going on in other places in the world, and it's just weird, because this is like 25% of it. Not even the maps straight up lied to us. Like if you look at the maps that we had in school versus what the real world map is, it's fucking crazy. They make America look so much bigger than it actually is. It's a relatively, you know, it's large. America is definitely huge. You have a lot of different climates, a lot of different cultures, kind of represented in it. But why is it that this area specifically is where the news happens? You know, it's weird. I mean, you definitely have like entertainment industries located in other parts of the country too, like, you know, with anime and stuff, but like, and French films are, it's weird that French films, like, because France is pretty well known for their film industry a little bit. They were pretty influential in how the film industry expanded, but it's weird that most French films are considered like indie flicks, you know? Isn't it just strange that everything is kind of located in one spot? I don't know. It's not really anything I have a solution for or anything I have too much of a problem with. I mean, I have a little bit of a problem with it. I think it's strange and it probably shouldn't be the case. But, you know, it's just a strange observation to realize that, like, all the stuff that is ever going on is always going on here. Also, I'm poisoned, and thus that means there is a timer on my life. That means I will probably die. I'm getting eaten by a fish. It depends on the news outlets you pay attention to. Yeah, really. If you haven't, there's this documentary that came out on Netflix. God, it sounds like such like a hipster right now whenever I say that. There's this documentary on Netflix called The Social Network that really kind of gives you an insight to how social media and algorithms have come to control kind of what we think at this point. Like there's a very clear reason that everything is so polarizing nowadays, you know? And it's that social media is highlighting the beliefs we have and making counter beliefs look a lot more extreme than they usually are, I guess, you know? Because most people, like, this is, like, I don't know anybody that wouldn't save, like, a drowning person if they could. If it was within your ability, most people would save a drowning person. But there's this weird polarization that's happened, and I think in large part it's definitely due to social media, and that, like, it's weird because it's so good. I mean, my entire, you know, job and situation and friendships and everything and what I'm doing now, and what I want to do, and you guys hanging out with me, chilling after potentially like a hard day, or just chilling at all, just to have some fun, is all, I'm about to die, is all because of this new social media where we're all more interconnected than we were back then. But at the same time, it's uniting us. It's also polarizing us in a weird way that I don't think humans are quite used to, you know? That's why travel is important. Learn all you can. I think that travel is definitely important, and I wish that, and I feel like maybe this is also in part, and maybe this is some sort of propaganda or you know, something else, but there is an anxiety that comes with the idea of traveling outside of your location. You're like, okay, but what about my job and my friends? Like, I have something to worry about, and that's the reason why I need to be here, you know? It's weird, you know? Because I definitely feel that in a way where I'm like, I definitely agree travel's important. You should learn to expand yourself, but it's also like, you know, while I'm not somebody like, I don't know, like C Nanners or somebody who can kind of afford to just go off and experience life for all it's worth. Like, I gotta stay here and make sure that I'm okay, and that I can continue to edit, you know, for people, and I can continue to, you know, stream too. There's a lot of things out in the world that I don't know. I don't know. They just kind of feel like it holds you back a little bit. I get from the idea of traveling, at least. But I do agree that traveling is important. Like, there's a certain time that I definitely will just allow myself to travel, but there's also like there's a time like right now where it's like you can't travel. You got a bunch of shit to do, you know? You got life, you got all your business to deal with. Also, I thought that was the exit. It's not the exit at all. I know that you know, Chilled and those people probably feel the same way too. Like, you know, people like Chilled and Z can't just like go off and whatever. They gotta stream to plan, you know? Occasionally they can make like a trip to Disneyland or whatever. Have a fun time doing that, but You can't have like a long kind of life-changing, experiencing 1 month trip over to Japan or whatever, unless you're like fucking PewDiePie or whatever, and then you could just buy a house there, you know? It's definitely interesting. I limit myself on a lot of social media too. I don't get into Instagram. I'll be honest, this is kind of embarrassing. I exclusively got into Snapchat for romantic reasons. Back whenever I was in my floozy phase, absolutely, it was the only reason that I got a Snapchat is because every single time that you would meet a new person, you would want to make sure that they weren't like catfishing you or whatever. So you get their Snapchat, you send a pic, they send a pic back, bam, you're talking on Snapchat. They don't have your phone number, so if things go really wrong, then they don't have like something so permanent. You can just block them off of Snapchat if they're a fucking creep or whatever. But whatever. Since dating Zoe, I don't use Snapchat at all anymore. I like just stopped using it pretty much. Instagram I don't use. Twitter I use exclusively to, you know, kind of, you know, it's weird. It's a weird look behind the curtain, but it is promotional in a way, right? Where it's like, hey, if you guys are interested, who are listening to what I'm talking to, just ranting away for 3 hours, then there's a new video up on YouTube that I like a lot. And it's also used, I guess, to connect with other creators, because like, if you want to kind of talk with certain people, like you know, whenever I was very first starting to get to know Z and Chilled, and definitely Platypus has been one of the newer people that I've definitely been trying to get closer to, because I think he's super duper funny. If you don't follow A Platypus, absolutely gotta follow that. We've rated him before. He's super duper funny. Yeah, no, and people like Uneasy and Cullen even, before I had any sort of anybody caring about what I did. Twitter was the way to like get closer to those people, you know? It's like, if this is what I wanted to do, I had to do this too, you know? Or at least it made it a lot easier if I did this too. But social media has definitely probably had a detrimental effect on me, where I wake up and I open Twitter now. That's not good. That's probably not healthy. You probably shouldn't do that. But it's what I do. And so you have to make this weird conscious effort that when you wake up, you should probably read a book instead of Twitter. Like, if you're gonna read, you should probably read something that might expand your worldview a little bit more. Or maybe Twitter's doing that. I don't know. Maybe we hark on it a little bit too much. But definitely a lot of it is information that is not poured over by a specific individual, not created by an expert. It's just some dude who's on his fucking toilet. And I'm guilty of this too. I've tweeted on the shitter. Just some dude on his toilet like, pussy, you know, sending it out in the world. Consuming on a daily basis instead of something like a book, which is, you know, can be an addiction in its own right, can be unhealthy. You can be unhealthy, read too many books, and that's a bad thing. But it's a work of art that somebody's poured over for a little bit longer. Because I don't think that fucking George over here on the shitter is like sitting there for 4 hours, like creating the perfect tweet with every right word. And no, most of the tweets you see have typos in them. So there's a lot of weird kind of content related personality change. I wouldn't say personality changes, language changes that we make with the certain things that you have to talk about, you have to avoid talking about. Again, you can't talk about something so niche as like Gundam for a long time, because people are like, I don't know what the fuck Gundam is. I'm out of here. I'm gonna go watch Ninja go play Fortnite and dab on some 8-year-olds. But it's definitely interesting, the kind of things that you'll change about your vocabulary, the things that you'll talk about, just because you have a camera on you or something. I don't know. At the same time, it's a lot of fun, and I find it worth it to make some of those vocabulary changes just so I have the ability to do this and just chat and see you guys chatting with me, bring your own ideas to the table, and interesting. But it's definitely, it's sometimes it can be frustrating whenever you want to talk about something, but you feel like you can't, because it's like there's a certain amount of people that are just gonna fuck off whenever they hear me talk about this thing, you know? I'm glad you're having a blast streaming. Oh man, I really am. It's been so much fun since I started doing it. I'll be honest, for so long, I was so worried about the idea of me needing to cut out like certain parts of the video, and I definitely do respect content creation in that aspect, because it's taking the funniest bits and it's putting it right in your face, you know? It's definitely, it's nice not having to, I guess, worry about cutting some stuff out and just being unfiltered. I've realized the appeal of an unfiltered conversation. And it's weird, and you guys may not be a fan of it, but it kind of took the Joe Rogan podcast for me to learn that. That's right, we're bringing it back to Joe Rogan. No, but it's interesting because you see what he's done, and he's definitely one of the more interesting interviewers out there. You may not like him because of his political views or his personal views, but you can't deny that he's an extremely influential podcaster, and he does not cut anything. And so I looked at that, and I'm like, this guy's not cutting to the chase or like whatever. He's just having a conversation. And I think it definitely took seeing somebody else doing it for me to realize that it's like, okay, this can be enjoyable in its own way. You know what I'm saying? Never be afraid to be yourself, man. It's been fun. We can't discuss ages, but I'm like 10 years older than you. That's crazy to me too. Whenever we see people that are living vastly different lives, I mean, at the end of the day, we're all living a different life, you know? We're in our own perspective, in our own head. That's what makes it beautiful, is that we're all individuals, but it's also what can make it frustrating whenever we don't understand somebody else's perspective, because they're living in their own head and we're living in our own head. I don't know what the fuck is going on from your guys' perspective, but we make an attempt to try and empathize with each other, and it's beautiful that we can all be individuals, and I definitely find the beauty in that when I'm Twitch streaming and I see people who are living vastly different lives like that. Like, a lot of you guys are living, you know, like Tank, I'm pretty sure has children. That's not something that I can relate to. But it's super duper cool to me to see you guys living these different lifestyles than I'm living, and then each other are living, and then we're all coming together and just chatting about ridiculous shit like butts. I've got 2 and 1 on the way, bro. Oh my god, crazy shit. See, at this point in my life, I can't even imagine having children. Like that sounds unbelievably stressful to me. But it's crazy to hear that you guys are living that life and enjoying it, and watching me goof around, chat. I can't remember. I'm trying to remember the username, but I remember the name. Somebody came in while we were streaming Skyrim, and they had just, it was a father who had just had his child, and he named his son Max Danger. That's one coolest fucking name I've ever heard in my... Max Danger? Are you kidding? I'm blown away by how cool that is. It's so cool. But 2, it's crazy to me that somebody, like, I'm I'm a part of that person, and this is in your own, this is in my own egotistical mind and my own perspective where I'm including myself in this person's life. But it's crazy to me to think that I am a part of that memory for that father that just had that child, Max Danger. And then he comes, he's like, I've had a long day, I'm gonna watch a CheesyBlueNips stream, you know, like, what the fuck? What the fuck? It is such a cool name. It's such a cool name. And then there's, you know, even all our mods are living crazy different lives from each other. They all have their own stuff going on. It's nuts. It's nuts because you're like, the world that we live in is at the same time so vast and expanding and inconceivable at the same time that it's all the same, kind of similar. Like, we all are humans. We all are able to relate to that, to certain emotions, like, you know, love, anger, sadness, all of the happiness, all of these things, all these emotions that we all feel. We are all the same in a way, but we're all so fucking vastly different that you could spend your entire life talking to one other person, and we do. It's called your spouse. That's what it's called. Most people believe in having a spouse where they talk to one other person and try to kind of dedicate a portion of their life trying to understand that other person, and you don't even get the full picture, you know? It's crazy. It's some crazy shit. This is what happens whenever I have a few drinks. So I just start like observing the nature of being, I guess. I don't know. Chatting with you guys, and then also chatting with people like Junk, who is, you know, Junk is me and Junk, Team Oomer. I don't know if he's actually a boomer. I think he's probably, because my mom isn't a boomer. She's probably on the same age as Junk, but it's interesting having like we play video games together relationship with somebody that is the same age as your parents. I think for people like Children Z, I think Junk is probably younger, or I would imagine they're younger than their parents, maybe just by a little bit. But for me, Junk is like same age or older than my mom. And so it's interesting having that we play games together relationship with him. He's super duper awesome though. Definitely cool. Gen X. That's it. I don't believe in marriage too much. That's fair. You know, everybody has their own thing, Kyle. My sister is probably generally the same way. It may change whenever you get older, it may stay the same. I don't know. People, you know, they say that people become an entirely different person than you knew them after 7 years. Like, if you put 7 years apart from who somebody was and who somebody is now, apparently they're supposed to be, that's just what people say. I don't know if there's any fucking reality to it. Maybe it'll change, maybe it won't. It's kind of the same feeling I have about my religious beliefs right now. Is right now I have a really hard time believing in the idea, the concept of God, or like believing in a religion or anything like that. And, you know, it's not to say that I don't respect it from other people's perspective, but I personally have a hard time doing it. But maybe in a few years I'll find something within myself that changes my mind about that. You know, just gotta be open to change, definitely. My boyfriend and I have been together for 5 years, but I don't think we'll ever get married. It's traditional to love together. It's traditional to live together. Okay, got it. I see what you're saying now. And I value having my own home and space too much and living mostly alone. It's different things for different people at the end of the day. For me, personally, I couldn't imagine, you know, I get a little anxious whenever Zoe's not here now. I definitely do. I'm definitely one of those people that likes to share space. Though I wish she was a little bit cleaner, because I'll be honest, I'm looking over at her desk right now. There's a lot of shit over there. But no, I get what you're saying, and there's nothing wrong with that, so long as your partner is on board and understands your perspective with that, and that's the future that they see as well, for you two. It's hard whenever two people really have an intense affection for each other, but they have a different idea of how their future will turn out. Like having a situation where you potentially had your boyfriend wanted to live together and was more inclined to that, but you still had that intense affection for each other. It's a hard idea. Hopefully that's not how it's going for you and your boyfriend. Is kind of in sync with your way of thinking. No, that's super duper cool that your parents are able to get along. I'll be honest, I was never jealous of the kids that had parents that were together. I had a lot of friends that were worried about that with me. I would go over to their houses and they'd be like, I hope you're not weirded out at all by the fact that my parents are still together or whatever, or anything like that. Being worried about me, my feelings, what I grew up with, where I came from. I was definitely a little bit jealous. I was jealous of the kids whose parents were divorced and got along. I'm like, you motherfuckers! You motherfuckers! I wish that my parents were that way, because it definitely would have made a lot of things easier. Definitely. My wife and I had a dog first. Yeah, good idea. Good idea to get a dog before. That's me and Zoe's plan. Get a dog before we have a kid. See how that goes. Then we'll work from there. See what happens. I think that Zoe's pretty dead set on the idea of having children. I was raised by my mom essentially having been told, you will have kids whenever you have kids, sort of thing. And so it's only now that I'm starting to like question and be like, do I want to have kids whenever I get older? But I feel like I'm probably going to end up having kids whenever I'm in my late 20s, 30s, hopefully. Oh my god. I like this too, Cheesy. This has been a great night. No, this has been awesome. This has been awesome just to chat with you guys. This is what I was talking about whenever I said that we should have more just chatting times. I see Toast do this a lot, where he'll just kind of sit there. A lot of times he's like either looking at Twitter or just listening to music, just vibing out, you know. But just talking is good, because I blabber on so much while I'm playing video games. But it's important to me that I guess we talk about some of this serious, some of the gushy stuff, some of the very appreciative kind of sentiments at times. Just so you know that I do really value this ability to just sit here and chat, you know? It's nice.